Before we get started, I just wanted to share a quick disclaimer. This podcast is based on my personal experiences and what I've lived through. Some episodes include difficult topics like trauma and abuse that may be triggering for some listeners. If you need support, I've included resources in the episode description. All stories are shared from my perspective, and names, identities, and specific details have been changed or removed to protect the privacy of those involved. Any resemblance to real people or events is purely coincidental. My goal is to help others feel seen, raise awareness, and remind anyone listening that they are not alone.
Before we get started, just a quick thing. If you're not already subscribed to the show, make sure you hit the follow button wherever you're listening. It really helps the podcast grow and reach whoever needs to hear these conversations. And if you want more related content, you can follow me on Instagram at downtherabbithole.lm. I'm also going to be hosting something new called the Strip Down Hour once a month. It's free, it's informal, and it's a space to slow down, connect, and go a little deeper into the kinds of things I talk about on here. There's going to be a link in the description if you want to sign up. Welcome back to the show. Today we're not talking about the trauma itself. We're talking about what happens after you leave, and after you're safe, and after your life finally looks calm on the outside, but your body still hasn't gotten that message. So this episode is for anyone who's ever thought, I'm not in danger anymore, so why do I still feel like I am? It's for the people who have done everything they were supposed to do. They left the relationship, changed your environment, built a new life, did the work, but you still feel weird, still jumpy or still exhausted, and still on edge for no clear reason. If you listened to episode 7, you heard what my body lived through. Well, some of it. This episode is about what my body did after, because I feel like when you get out, nobody really prepares you for the part where your life calms down and your nervous system absolutely does not. I want to say this clearly because this is the part that messed with my head the most. So, I'm not in danger anymore. I'm not in chaos. There isn't someone screaming at me, threatening me, hurting me, or watching my every move. My life is relatively calm. And my nervous system does not give a single shit. That disconnect almost broke me. Because for the longest time, I thought healing meant relief. I thought it meant exhaling. I thought it meant waking up one day and feeling settled in my body again. Instead, what I got was this constant low-grade sense that something was about to happen. And I felt that 24/7, and I still do sometimes. Even when nothing was happening or is happening, my brain knows I'm safe, but my body just doesn't believe it. And that's such a mindfuck. When you don't understand what actually is going on, it fucks with your brain so much. I can't even put that into words. I used to sit in a quiet room and feel my chest tighten for no reason. I'd lay in bed at night, nothing wrong, nothing happening, and my body would still be braced like it was waiting for something to happen. And silence just didn't feel peaceful. It felt loaded. It was just like you could cut it with a knife. Because silence used to mean something bad was coming, and calm didn't feel calming. Calm felt suspicious. It felt like the calm before the storm. And I didn't understand why I couldn't just enjoy the peace I worked so fucking hard to get. I kept thinking, why am I still like this? Why can't I just relax now? Why does my body still feel like it's on high alert? Why am I crawling in my skin? There were days where I was embarrassed of my own reactions. I almost felt like I was overreacting to things that didn't deserve that level of a response. A door closing so loudly, or someone's tone shifting slightly, a pause in a conversation that felt a little bit too long. My body would react before my mind would catch up, and my heart would be racing, my shoulders would start tensing, my breath would get shallow, and then my brain would step in like, you're fine, nothing's happening. But my body was already checked out. And that's when I started to realize something important. My nervous system wasn't responding to like the present moment. It was responding to the memory, to how it was rewired. It was responding to patterns it learned when danger didn't announce itself, when things were good until they weren't, when calm would turn into a violence without warning. My body learned that staying alert was safer than relaxing, and it held on to that lesson long after I didn't need it anymore. There's this lie we're fed that once you leave the danger, your body will automatically catch up, that you'll just feel better eventually, that the safety is instant. But safety is just not a switch. It's a process. It's a fucking process. And when your body has lived in survival for years, it doesn't know how to stand down just because your life looks better on paper. My nervous system didn't break. It adapted. It learned how to keep me alive in an environment where relaxing wasn't an option. So when I finally got out, and when things finally slowed down and I was actually safe, my body didn't relax. It fucking panicked. Because it was so calm for an extended period of time and it stayed calm, my body went in haywire. It like sent me into a panic overdrive because hypervigilance was my home for years. And nobody talks about it enough. And nobody tells you how disorienting it is to leave chaos and realize your body doesn't know how to live without it yet. And this is where my irritation comes in, because once you're out of the danger, people expect you to calm down. They say things like, just relax, you're safe now, you don't need to be so tense, why are you still on edge? And I need people to understand something. You cannot reason your way out of a nervous system response. You can't logic yourself into calm. You can't think your way out of a body that learned survival through fear. If calming down were a choice, I would have chosen this years ago. When somebody tells me to relax, my body doesn't hear reassurance. It hears pressure. It hears judgment. It hears, why aren't you over this yet? And it just adds another layer of tension on top of what's already there. Because now, not only is my nervous system activated, but now I'm also shaming myself for it. People love to suggest breathing exercises like they're some magic fix. Just take a deep breath. Here's the thing. For a long time, deep breathing felt unsafe to me. Slowing down felt dangerous. Closing my eyes felt vulnerable. Stillness made my skin crawl. Because when living in trauma, being fully present in my body was not safe. So, of course, my body resisted it. Meditation didn't calm me at first. It made me anxious. Yoga didn't ground me. It made me want to crawl out of my skin. Anything that asked me to slow down felt like a threat to me, not relief. And that made me feel like I was failing at healing. Like everyone else could relax and I was just fucking broken. But the truth is, my body wasn't malfunctioning. It was doing exactly what it was rewired to do. It was rewired to stay alert, stay ready, and stay guarded. So when people say things like, you just need to let it go, what you don't understand is my nervous system isn't holding on to memories. It's holding on to sensations, patterns. It's holding on to the physical memory of what it felt like to not be safe. And you don't just release that with positive thinking. You release it with time, safety, repetition, and patience. And I feel like a lot of people just don't understand that because it's one of those things that you won't understand unless you've lived through it. But I'm here to tell you, as somebody who has lived through it, it's just facts. And patience isn't sexy. Healing doesn't look impressive while it's happening. Most days it looks like you're noticing your shoulders are tense and constantly dropping them. It looks like catching yourself, holding your breath, and exhaling on purpose. It looks like saying, I'm safe, when your body doesn't believe you yet. And doing that again and again and again. Not because you're broken, but because your nervous system learned survival really well. And unlearning it, it takes longer than people think. Let me put it this way. I've lived through traumatic experiences in abusive relationship for over a decade of time. It rewired my brain over the course of that entire time. That's not something you could just quickly rewire. It takes patience and repetition of teaching yourself that you are safe and grounding yourself in those moments. But before I could do the breath work, the stillness, the yoga, meditating, I had to take it a step further and get my body to be okay with that stillness, that grounding, the breathing. So it took me probably 3 months of time to just get myself to do that part of it, to be able to do yoga without having anxiety and putting myself into a spiral panic attack. Be able to breathe and actually not feel like I'm breathing in because I'm like scared or fearful, and actually be able to be still enough to meditate and not be crawling in my skin. Now that I can do those things, I am able to, in the moment when something does trigger me, or my brain and my nervous system picks up on something before my brain could catch up, I'm able to ground myself and stop myself from spiraling by using these techniques. But I still have a body full of stored trauma that it will probably take years, if not a lifetime, to continue to release. And it's something that I will have to forever work on. And I'm not going to say it's okay, because it is shitty that I have to do this because of something somebody else that they've done to me. But I've accepted it. I've radically accepted that this is my journey and I'm learning. And that's why I feel like it's so important for me to share all of this to help other people, because if I went through all of this darkness to not share it, what was the point? That's how I feel about it. I want to be able to help other people understand what they're going through. I want other people to not feel alone. I want people who have not lived through this to be more aware, to avoid ever getting themselves in a situation, but also to be more mindful of a victim who was abused, to be more understanding, curious to help them or be present with them, to listen and not judge them. And I feel like this part, like the chronic trauma, what it actually does to your body. Like this part, a lot of people just don't understand unless you've lived it. Because from the outside, it doesn't look like trauma anymore. It looks like somebody who's functional, capable, responsible, put together. But inside that body, something else is still running they're running the show of that person. For me, it shows up in ways that feel automatic. It's unconscious. It's hardwired within me. I don't walk into rooms like a normal person does. I walk into a room and I scan them. I clock exits without trying. I notice where people are standing and how they're positioned, who's closest to the door. And I don't even realize I'm doing it. I'm doing it like unconsciously. And I don't realize it until after. And my body's just always collecting information. Tone changes hit me before the words do. A sigh, a pause, a shift in the energy. My stomach drops before my brain can explain why. And then I spend the next 10 minutes trying to convince myself that nothing's wrong. I read people faster than they could read themselves. Not because I'm intuitive or gifted or emotionally advanced, but because my nervous system, it learned that paying attention kept me alive. So now, even in safe situations, it doesn't turn off. It's like my body is constantly asking, are we good? Is this about to change? Do I need to brace? And the answer's always no now, but my body asks me anyway. Exhaustion is another one that I feel like people talk about it, but a lot of people don't understand it. Not tired like you didn't sleep well. Not tired like you need a nap. It's like deep, deep tired. It's the kind of exhaustion that doesn't go away when you rest. I could sleep 8 hours and I'll still wake up like I ran a marathon overnight, did CrossFit, ran another marathon, and didn't sleep at all. But that's because my body, it doesn't power down. It's always on alert. It's always monitoring. And it's always ready. And that takes energy. A fucking lot of it. There are days where nothing stressful happens and nothing goes wrong. And I'm still fucking wiped the fuck out. And then I catch myself thinking, what's wrong with me? Why am I still like this? And then I shame myself. But there's nothing wrong with me. My nervous system is just doing overtime. And disassociation is another big one. I feel like a lot of people misunderstand that word. It's not always dramatic. It's not always checking out completely. Sometimes it's subtle. It's zoning out mid-conversation, losing time while you're driving, or staring at your phone without actually reading anything or watching anything. Sometimes it feels like I'm watching my life instead of living it. Like I'm present, but not fully inside myself. And that used to scare me because I didn't understand it and I didn't know what was actually happening to me. But now I understand it, and it's disassociation. It's what happens when your body decides feeling everything would just be too much right now. So it creates distance. And it's not weakness. It really isn't. It's protection. But when it becomes chronic, it makes you feel disconnected from yourself, from joy, from desire, motivation. And people say things like, you seem distant, or you're not as present as you used to be. What you guys don't realize is that presence once came with danger. So my body learned how to stay half in and half out. Control is another sneaky one. I like knowing what's happening, what's coming, what to expect. Surprises don't feel fun to me. They feel threatening. Uncertainty makes my chest tighten. I plan things not because I'm type A at all, but because unpredictability used to hurt me. So my nervous system tries to manage risk by controlling what I can. Schedules, routine, predictability. And when things don't go as planned, I could feel my whole entire body tense before I even can emotionally react to it. Overthinking is a part of this too. Replaying conversations, second guessing what I said, wondering if I sounded wrong or too much, not enough. And not because I'm insecure. Well, I guess kind of in a way. It's an unfortunate thing that I was left with. But it's once upon a time, saying the wrong thing had consequences. So now my brain tries to prevent danger by reviewing everything. And the hardest part of all of this, my body reacts faster than my emotions do. I don't decide when to tense up. I don't choose to flinch. I don't consciously go into high alert. I notice it after the fact. I notice my jaw clenched, my shoulders up near my ears, my shallow breath. And then my mind steps in like, oh, we're doing this again? That gap between reaction and awareness used to make me feel out of fucking control. Like I was failing or like healing wasn't working. But what I've learned is this. My nervous system doesn't wait for permission. It responds first. Explain later. And that doesn't mean I'm broken, It means my body learned to prioritize survival over comfort. So when I say I'm safe now, that's not a lie. But safety is something my body has to learn slowly. Through repetition, through consistency, through moments where nothing bad happens and I survive them anyway. This is what chronic trauma does. It doesn't end when the situation ends. It lives in reflexes and muscle memory, in reactions you don't consciously choose. And understanding that changed everything for me. Because once I stopped asking what's wrong with me or why am I still like this, I finally started asking, what did my body learn? Why is my body doing this? What is it remembering? How can I help it? And that question, that's where my healing actually begins. Full body healing. And I feel like the grief, anger, shame that you don't realize, it's the part of healing that I wasn't prepared for. It's not relief. It's not peace. It's not clarity. It's fucking grief. Not grief for the relationship, not grief for the person, but grief for myself. Grief for how long my body lived in fear without me realizing it. Grief for how much energy survival took from me. Grief for how many years I spent thinking I was just bad at life, when actually, I was actually just traumatized. There's a specific kind of grief that comes when you finally understand what your body went through. Because once you see it, you start noticing how tense you've always been. How guarded and how hyper aware. And suddenly you realize, oh, that wasn't just a phase. This wasn't just stress. This wasn't just my personality. This was my nervous system carrying something heavy for a very fucking long time. And that realization hurts. And it hurts because it means I wasn't broken, but I was hurt. And nobody helped me hold that. There's anger in that part too. A lot of it. Anger at how long it took me to understand what was happening inside of me. Anger at the years I spent blaming myself. Anger at the people who told me to move on instead of asking what my body was still carrying. And sometimes I feel angry at my own nervous system. And I hate admitting that. I get frustrated with it. I resent it for still reacting when there's no threat. I want to hurry it up, to catch up, to just be normal already. And then there's shame. Shame for still struggling. Shame for not being over it yet. Shame for flinching when nothing's wrong. Shame for needing more time than people think I should. There's moments where I felt embarrassed about my own healing. Like I was doing something wrong, like I was taking too long, like everyone else figured it out faster than I did. And that shame, it almost kept me stuck. It really did. Because shame doesn't heal anything. It just keeps you quiet. And one of the hardest things for me was realizing that healing didn't make me feel better right away. It made me feel more aware, more sensitive, more tuned in to how my body was what it was holding. And I remember thinking, why does this feel worse? Why am I more emotional now than I was before? Why do I feel like things are coming apart instead of coming together? And you don't realize that healing can feel like unraveling. That when your nervous system finally starts to come out of freeze, sensations return. Emotions surface, memories you didn't have words for start knocking. And that doesn't feel empowering. It fucking feels overwhelming. There were days where I thought, maybe I was better off before I understood any of this. At least then I didn't feel so exposed. I felt like, I still feel like that at times. But that's the lie that trauma tells you. That numb is better than honest. That disconnected is safer than presence. And the truth is, this stage of healing, I won't lie, it's fucking uncomfortable because it's real, like completely raw and real. But because for the first time, I wasn't running. I wasn't numbing. I wasn't disassociating through my life. I was actually here in the now. And being here meant feeling grief I had postponed for years. Grief for the version of me that didn't get softness. Grief for the girl who learned to brace instead of rest. Grief for how early my body learned fear. And here's a part that I want to say gently because it matters. That grief doesn't mean you're going backwards if you feel that too. Your body doesn't realize things when it's in danger. It releases them when it believes you can handle them. So if healing feels heavy right now, if it feels emotional, if it feels like everything is surfacing at once, that doesn't mean something's wrong. It means your nervous system trusts you now. And that realization changed everything for me. Because once I stopped fighting my reactions, and once I stopped shaming my body, once I stopped demanding that healing looked peaceful, I could start meeting myself with compassion instead of frustration. I could say, of course you're tired. Of course you're tense. Of course you're struggling. Look what you fucking survived. This part of the healing isn't pretty, but it's fucking honest. And honesty is the bridge between survival and actual safety. And what regulation actually looks like, not the Instagram version. I want to be really honest about this part because I think this is where a lot of people feel like they're failing. When people talk about nervous system regulation online, it sounds very clean, very aesthetic, and very peaceful. Like once you learn the right tools, everything settles. And let me tell you, that has not been my experience. Regulation for me does not look like constant calm. It doesn't look like never being triggered. It does not look like floating through life like some regulated bliss. The honest truth, it looks messy. It looks inconsistent. It looks fucking human. Most days, regulation looks like catching myself. catching my shoulders creeping up towards my ears and dropping them on purpose with intention, catching my jaw clenched and letting it soften and breathing through it, catching myself holding my breath and intentionally exhaling slowly, even if it feels awkward. Not because it instantly fixes anything, but because it interrupts the spiral. Regulation, it's not about erasing those reactions. It's about shortening the recovery time. I still get triggered. I still start to spiral. I still have moments where my body reacts before my mind knows what's happening. But the difference is now is that I don't stay there long anymore. There's a moment where I can say, oh, that's my nervous system. And that moment, it matters. Because before, I thought that reaction was me. I thought it defined me. I thought it meant something was wrong with me. But now I understand it as information. Regulation looks like choosing safety in small ways. It looks like creating routines that make my body feel more predictable, not rigid, but predictable. It looks like protecting my sleep, eating regularly, not pushing through exhaustion just to prove something. It looks like saying no to things that overstimulate me right now, even if they seem normal to everybody else. It looks like being honest about my capacity of what I could handle. There are days where my nervous system just can't handle much of anything. And instead of shaming myself for that, I try to listen. And for me, that's new. But it also, like, letting myself feel sad without trying to fix it, it's hard. And letting myself be angry without trying to explain why. Letting myself feel the weight of things without rushing to make them positive. But sometimes regulation is just staying present with discomfort long enough to realize it won't kill me. That's a big one for me because my body learned that discomfort was danger. So now every time I sit with something uncomfortable and nothing bad happens, I'm teaching my nervous system something new. I'm teaching it that this moment is different. And that doesn't happen in a big breakthrough. It happens with tiny repetitions over and over again. And another thing that I feel like people don't mention, like it's, everybody sees the cookie cutter like pictures and thinks it's great, but regulation could feel boring. I won't lie. There's no adrenaline, no chaos, no emotional spikes. And when you've lived in survival for so long, boredom can feel unsettling. And my nervous system was not it was used to intensity. It was not used to boredom or calm or peace. It goes from the highs to the lows to constant stimulation to peace. It felt flat at first. I was like bored. I felt almost empty. And I had to learn that empty doesn't mean wrong. It means there's space. Regulation also means letting go of the version of myself that survived through hypervigilance. And that's harder than it sounds, because that version of me kept me alive. letting her rest felt like betrayal sometimes, and it still does. But rest doesn't erase her. It honors her. I don't force regulation. I don't chase it. I build it slowly by being consistent, being kind, by being honest about where I'm at. Some days, regulation is one deep breath. Some days it's getting outside, sitting in the sun. Some days it's canceling plans. Some days it's letting myself cry. And some days it's just surviving without making it worse. And that counts too. But this is what healing actually looks like. It's not perfection, not calm all the time, not being fixed. It looks like learning your body instead of fighting it. It looks like understanding your reactions instead of judging them. It looks like meeting yourself where you are instead of where you think you should be. And that's slower, a lot slower than what people want. But it's real. And real is what lasts. So I want to end this episode by saying something I really wish somebody had told me years ago. If you're safe now, but your body still does not feel safe, there's nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. You're not failing at healing. You're not doing it wrong. Your nervous system, it learned survival before it learned peace. It doesn't forget that overnight. For a long time, I thought something was wrong with me because my reactions didn't match my reality. My life looked calm, my environment was stable, but my body still felt like it was ready to go to war. And that disconnect can make you feel like you're fucking crazy if you don't understand it. But even if you do understand it, you could still feel crazy until you start taking those tiny steps forward. It can make you feel ashamed, like you're behind, or like you're weak for still struggling when the danger is gone. But your body doesn't run on a timeline. It runs on memory, on repetition, on what kept you alive when you didn't have a better option. So if your nervous system still reacts, it's not because you're stuck. It's because it worked really hard for a very long time. Healing for me hasn't been about forcing calm. It's been about learning safety slowly, letting my body catch up to my life at its own pace, not punishing it for being behind. I don't need to convince my nervous system that I'm safe. I need to show it over and over and over again, through consistency, through softness, through moments where nothing bad happens, and I survive them anyway. That's how trust gets rebuilt within yourself. Not with pressure, not with shame, not with just relax, like everybody says, but with patience. Most of us were never taught how to have that with ourselves. If you're listening to this and you recognize yourself in it, if your body feels tense, guarded, exhausted, on edge, crawling in your skin, just know you are not alone. You're not defective by any means. Your nervous system isn't your enemy. It's a part of you that learned how to protect you when nobody else did. And now you're teaching it something new. And it takes time. And it's okay. It's okay if you're not there yet. Some days, healing looks like deep breaths and self-awareness. Some days, it looks like white-knuckling it through the day without making things worse. And both fucking count. If all you did today was notice your body instead of judging it, that matters. If all you did today was stay present through discomfort instead of running from it, that matters. If all you did was listen to this episode and feel a little less alone, that fucking matters too. You don't need to rush this. Your body spent years learning how to survive. It deserves time to learn how to rest. And I'm still learning too. I still catch myself bracing. I still have moments where my body reacts faster than my mind. But now I understand what's happening. And understanding changed everything. Because compassion can finally replace confusion. If this episode resonated with you, sit with it. Let it land. Let it breathe. And remember, you are not broken. You are healing in a body that learned survival first. And that fight, the fight to breathe again, is the one showing up for. And I'll see you next time.
Before I go, just a quick reminder. If you're interested in joining the Strip Down Hour, the link to sign up, it's in the description.